The Department of Energy is finally ready to announce the award of a nuclear loan guarantee. Senate Democrats lose another member to retirement. What Evan Bayh's departure from the Energy Committee could mean for climate legislation. And General Motors plans to up the use of ethanol to fuel its vehicles.
From the Energy News Center in Washington, D.C., this is the Energy Report with Susan McGinnis.
Good morning, I'm Susan McGinnis. Thanks for joining us for the Energy Report on this 16th day of February 2010. President Obama is slated to announce the news himself, the first loan guarantee for a new nuclear plant for Southern Company at its Vogtle station in Georgia. Word is he and Energy Secretary Stephen Chu will make the announcement today while visiting the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers in Lantham, Maryland. He is expected there to make remarks on energy jobs, with today being the first anniversary of the Recovery Act. Congress authorized the nuclear loan guarantees in 2005 to help private utilities get the multi-year financing needed. But this will be the first guarantee that's granted, and it will be contingent on Southern's getting a license from NRC. That license has been undergoing NRC review for 2 years and will take at least 1 more year. Southern's plans, it's planning 2 new 1,100 megawatt Westinghouse units. Cost estimates range from $7 to $14 billion. It estimates the job will employ about 3,000 workers over the 5-year construction period. Site preparation has already begun. The site hosts 2 1,200 megawatt reactors now. And while Georgia welcomes a new reactor, Vermont is looking at closing its only unit. The Vermont Yankee plant supplies 1/3 of the state's power, half of its carbon-free power. Owner Entergy has asked NRC for a 20-year extension on its original license. It expires in 2012, but the state legislature must agree to that extension, a condition in the plant's original authorization. Longtime opponents are fanning public uproar over recent discoveries of tritium leaks on site from corroding underground pipes, and it's not at all certain lawmakers will say yes. Tritium has not been found off-site, but it is a health concern if it gets into drinking water in high concentrations. One big issue: how to replace the plant's 650 carbon-free megawatts. Electricity demand has dropped during the recession, but experts say that power prices throughout New England would rise 4 to 5%, most likely come from fossil fuels. Well, South Carolina could be the first state to sue over the Obama administration's decision to end the Yucca Mountain nuclear waste project. Governor Mark Sanford will hold a news conference today. He's calling the decision to stop repository funding and withdraw its NRC license application spectacularly misguided. He says it breaks a promise the government made decades ago to dispose of military and civilian waste. South Carolina has about 4,000 metric tons of nuclear waste, including defense-related material stored at DOE's Savannah River site and spent fuel at 7 commercial reactors. Sanford has asked the state's Attorney General to seek legal options to force the go-ahead of the project. Senate Democrats are losing another member of the Energy Committee. 1 month after Byron Dorgan announced his retirement, Evan Bayh is now preparing to leave Washington as well. The 2-term senator from Indiana made the announcement yesterday, citing what he calls brain-dead partisanship as the reason for his departure. Bayh has been among the more outspoken Democratic critics of a cap-and-trade system, since his state gets about 95% of its electricity from coal-fired generation. His retirement from the Senate means Bayh won't have to face Indiana voters in a re-election bid this fall, so the move could free him to support a combined clean energy and climate bill. On the Energy Committee, Bayh played a key role in amending part of the Acela Act last summer. His amendment allows utilities that don't meet a prescribed renewable electricity standard to pay fines to individual states rather than paying DOE. With Dorgan and Bayh still in office, Senate Democrats hold a 13-10 majority on the Energy Committee. The president of Conoco Phillips Alaska Division, Jim Bowles, was killed in an avalanche over the weekend. Alaska State Police say they found Bowles' body near Spencer Glacier Saturday afternoon. He was out snowmobiling with friends as he was an avid outdoorsman. Bowles was 57 years old. Rescuers are still searching for a friend of Bowles who is also thought buried by this avalanche. GM says half its vehicle lineup will be able to run on E85 ethanol by by 2012. GM Vice Chairman Tom Stevens says that the new vehicles still won't help cut emissions or U.S. dependence on foreign oil until a network of ethanol stations is greatly expanded. Stevens says at least 12,000 ethanol stations need to be added to have ethanol fuel available for every person within about 2 miles of where they live. GM is working with the National Governors Association and ethanol producers and dispensers to add more ethanol blend pumps in the U.S. Stevens says 2/3 of E85 pumps are now concentrated in 10 Midwestern states where corn is grown. A boom in solar could threaten the stability of the electric grid in Prague. Reuters says the Czech grid operator today stopped issuing all permits to connect new solar and wind plants to the grid. High feed-in tariffs and dropping prices for solar panels have produced this boom. About 3,500 megawatts of new solar and wind capacity have been approved. Only 600 megawatts of these variable sources are online right now. The grid operator says the new influx is much more than the network can handle. It's being called the world's most powerful wind turbine. Norway has begun work on a 10-megawatt turbine with a blade rotor diameter of 475 feet. Norwegian company Sway says it's building this monster turbine to increase profitability of offshore wind farms. Officials say the turbine will be tested first on land for 2 years before being installed offshore. The development project will cost about $23 million. Here's a check of what's going on around the Beltway today. President Obama, as we said, talking clean energy jobs and touring a job training site in Lanham, Maryland. He's also expected to announce the first nuclear loan guarantee. The National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners has its annual winter meetings all this week. Regulators are talking about a national action plan on energy efficiency. That's happening at the Renaissance Hotel, and Clean Skies News is there. Also this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, a forum on China and climate change. From Copenhagen to Cancun, a view from the other side of the fence. This will focus on views by southern countries, includes members of the UN General Assembly, and moderated by PBS anchor Ray Suarez. That's the Energy Report. Thanks for joining us here in the Energy News Center. For any suggestions or comments about our programming on Clean Skies News, you can email us at contact@cleanskies.com, and you can follow us as well on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Susan McGinnis. You're watching Clean Skies News.